Hello, and welcome to the Prepare to Prosper. Welcome to my homestead. This is the weekly Prepare to Prosper live stream. We're on our journey to get to David and his mighty men, starting with Abraham and going through the patriarchs, going through going through the patriarchs, then Moses, and then some of the judges, and leading up to the David and his mighty men. And last time we left off on Abraham. We finished Abraham's story last week, and Abraham's story is intertwined with Isaac's story. So we've already started Isaac's story. We did Isaac's birth, Abraham being told to sacrifice Isaac and what all that meant. And no, that wasn't God just being cruel. Go back and check out that video for more. And then we did Isaac getting married, and then Abraham dying, and Isaac getting the inheritance. So let's pick up right there where so Abraham dies. He is given gifts to all of his children, but he leaves Isaac, the child of God's covenant, with the inheritance. Isaac is not the firstborn, but he takes the place of the firstborn. A lot of times in the Bible, that's used as a metaphor in the Bible to show, and it points towards Christianity and shows that even though Jews were the first one to get a covenant, and they're the firstborn in that case, but the promise got passed on to Christians and also Jews who followed the new covenant. So what Isaac's job is to do as getting the covenant, or getting all the inheritance, is he's supposed to take the inheritance and distribute it among all of his brothers. He might have had sisters. The Bible only mentions brothers, but to spread it among all of his brothers. Just like Jesus is the firstborn of God, and as God's adopted children, by becoming Christians, we become God's adopted children. Jesus gets all the inheritance of God. He was firstborn because he was born before time began. We're going to do a video on the Trinity sometime. But Jesus is metaphorically firstborn, and he gives that inheritance to all of us, Christians, as adopted children. And also Isaac, he has made amends with Ishmael, and Isaac and Ishmael work together in order to bury Abraham and do the funeral service for Abraham. And that's the first thing we learn from Isaac, is that even though him and his brother had serious issues, and Abraham wasn't the best father and didn't keep the two of them, didn't keep the family together very well, Isaac makes amends for all that and starts healing the family and bringing them together. So that's an important lesson to us. Is we should work towards striving towards making amends with people and bringing us together, especially our blood relatives, but even our friends and other people around us that we're associated with. Even if it's not our fault that there's this rift between us, we should do what we can in order to bring unity and harmony. So Isaac, he's married to Rebekah. So Rebekah is barren. She's not having any children, and that was a sign. A lot of people took that as a sign back then, and some people still do to this day, that there's something wrong with Rebekah. Rebekah's the problem. Maybe she's sinning. Maybe, who knows what. But they would blame that on the woman. And Isaac, instead of blaming that on his wife, he prays and asks God for to help Rebekah. And we should do the same thing. We shouldn't look down on people in situations and say, well, it must be their fault that they're in this situation. Now, sometimes it is their fault, but in situations where we have no way of knowing whose fault it is and what's going on, we should extend grace and pray for those people. And even if it is their fault, we should still pray for them that they can heal from that situation and get better. So Isaac prays for Rebekah. Rebekah ends up getting pregnant. She has 2 children, and are twins. Oh, and real quick, as fathers, we should be praying for our family regularly. And something I need to do better at is making sure we pray before every meal. And as we pray before every meal, I need to pray for my family and let them hear that I'm praying for them. That's something I need to work on. See, like I keep saying, this is a journey. This YouTube channel is a journey where I'm trying to get better, and I'm showing you what I'm doing, hoping that you will come alongside me and help me to get better as I help you to get better. This isn't a I'm awesome club. You should do what I'm doing. So then Rebekah, her pregnancy is kind of rough. She feels like there's a problem, so she goes and prays with God and prays to God and says, "Hey God, what's going on?" And God answers her and says that the 2 that she's pregnant, she's going to have twins, and that those twins are warring against each other, and that war will continue to go on for a long time. That there's 2 nations that are warring, and that's a prophecy that the children of Abraham are the children of Isaac. So Jacob and, let me check my notes. I keep getting his name wrong all the time. Esau. So that those 2 nations would be warring, and there's still problems to this day between those guys' descendants. And so Rebekah has her children, and we're not going to go all the detail. The Bible goes into a lot of detail. There's reasons for that, but we're going to skip all that for today and just say that after the children were born, Jacob was more of he liked to stay around the house or around the camp. He did things around the camp and made, like, his skills and his gifts were more around the camp and not going out far in the distance. We don't know if he went and shepherded and stuff like that, but Ishmael, no. Anyway, Jacob's brother, I'm so bad with names. Jacob's brother, he liked to go hunting and do all these cool manly things. So he became Isaac's favorite. And that caused a lot of problems between Jacob and, it's Esau. Ishmael? No, Isaac and Esau. He became, so this became a lot of problems between Jacob and Esau, and this was Isaac's fault. Sorry about all that. I don't know why I have so much problems with names sometimes. But anyway, this came a lot of problems with Jacob and Esau, and they argued and fought, and this is all because of Jacob's bad leadership. And Jacob should have been a better family man, and I don't know why my phone just shut off for a second. Should have became a better family man and kept his family together and stopped this arguing and found a way for his kids to get along. Now, this is something a lot of people struggle with. I struggle with that from time to time. our kids are really far in age, and when Daniel was younger, he was kind of jealous of the new baby, that Thomas, when he came along as a new baby, and then when their dad died, Sarah's first husband died. Daniel was a teenager. He decided that he needed to try to do more step up and be a leader around the house, and try to boss Thomas around, causes issues. He still tries to boss Thomas around too much instead of being a leader and showing and teaching him. And that's my problem too. I need to show Daniel how to teach Thomas instead of yelling and name calling Thomas to get him to do what he wants. He should be showing Thomas and stepping up and being that role model. And if Daniel wants Thomas to do what Daniel wants, Daniel needs to learn to show Thomas what he wants, not yell at him and get mad. And I need to do a better job of showing both of them how to be better leaders and how to get along with each other, get along with other people better, because one day they're going to be parents and they have to know how to show their kids what they want and teach their kids how to be good people. I'm not just raising kids, I'm raising my grandkids' parents, and they're going to raise their grandkids' parents. So I'm raising the grandparents. I don't know what just fell. I'm raising the grandparents of my great-grandchildren. I got to think of it like that I'm not just teaching them I'm not just raising them into adults. I'm raising them to raise future generations and so on and so forth. I don't know if you can see it. Yep. There's our cat. She's wandering around. She's been wandering around for a while now. I've been outside working on this project here. It's for an indoor, for growing sprouts and stuff for the family and for the cats and the pet rabbit too. So Isaac and Rebekah, they go off. They're traveling herdsmen, so they're going from place to place, and there's a drought, so they end up. I want to say they end up in Egypt, but I'm not. No, they end up in one of the places Abraham was in, and while there, Isaac is worried that the locals are going to see his wife Rebekah and want to marry her and kill him in order to take him as their bride. So Isaac says, hey, I'm going to lie. You lie too. We're going to say we're brother and sister. And he does that. And instead of protecting his wife ends up being taken and married off to someone else. Now, fortunately, before the marriage gets consummated, it's found out about. So the local king doesn't kill Jacob. He doesn't keep Rebekah as his wife, but he does scold Isaac. He does scold Isaac for this. And this is the exact same thing that Abraham did. So Isaac didn't learn from his dad's mistake here. And unfortunately, we pass our mistakes on to our children. When we make mistakes, we need to do a good job of letting our children know we made the mistakes. So, and what lessons we learned, so they can learn from them as well. So then, Isaac. And then Isaac, that same king who made a deal with Abraham, I wish I would have wrote down his name, Abimelech, I think it was Abimelech. Anyway, Isaac then had his herdsmen and Abimelech's herdsmen end up arguing over these wells, and Jacob, instead of going to war with him and fighting him or anything like that, Jacob just digs another well and another well and another well until He figures out how to get along or builds a wall that they don't bother. Now, avoiding conflict is sometimes the best course of action. If the conflict is not, if you don't have to engage in the other person with the other person, whether it be an argument or a physical altercation, all the better. But sometimes that's not the best solution. We don't know the consequences of Isaac moving around like that and digging new wells, but I'm sure his herdsmen were not happy about it. And if he would have gone to the king Abimelech, he could have discussed it with him, like Abraham did, and they could have signed a treaty and came up with an agreement so they could share the wells and use the wells together instead of having this problem between their different herdsmen. So sometimes it's good to be a peacemaker, but we don't need to be a pushover in the process. So we need to do what we can to avoid unnecessary conflict, but not cause that avoidance to cause other problems down the road. So Isaac's learning to become a better family man and a better father. He's not the best at it, but he's learning to trust God and do what he's supposed to do in the right situations. But he keeps screwing up, and these are generational mistakes that his father made, and then he made as well. And Jacob goes on to make similar mistakes that Isaac makes. And what we need to do in our relationships is try to put God first. So if Abraham would have put God first with his relationship with Sarah, they wouldn't have had all the issues with Ishmael and all the problems that caused. If Isaac would have put God first in his relationships with Abimelech, with his wife, with his children, then he wouldn't have to deal with these issues. So what I heard from somebody who used to be my preacher is, and I've mentioned this a lot of times before, so you're down here and the other person you want to have a relationship's here, and God's up here. If you're moving closer to God, because that's a triangle shape, and as you move closer to God and you help them move closer to God, both of you will get closer together. And that's what we need to do as well, as disciples of Christ. As we try to have better faith, we need to be moving closer to God and helping others do so as well. As fathers, as husbands, as members of families, we need to also be trying to help our families get closer to God, as we do too, and be good leadership at doing that. And we need to bring other people in other groups that aren't our family, our church, help our church, help members of community groups we're part of, help our neighbors and our coworkers all move closer to God. And that will reduce that conflict between us because we'll get closer and closer. And as we get closer to God, we'll be closer together and we'll have less strife. And that'd be a solution to a lot of the world's problems. And a lot of problems we're having in the country is that nobody's putting God first. Nobody's putting other people even first. They're selfish. Even the people that are saying they're putting others first. I'm putting this group first. I care so much about this group, and those people over there, they don't care about. I care so much about group X. I love the X's, but those people over there, they hate the X's. And if no, don't be like that, because what you're doing is now you're marginalizing those people, and you don't even know how much they care about the X's or not. What you need to be is, I care about the X's. I want you to care about the X's as well, and bring those and try to teach those people. Don't yell at them. Don't cause all these problems. I don't know why my phone turned off again. Screen turned off again. Huh, that's weird. Hopefully that doesn't interrupt the video. But so when we build these relationships, the Bible talks in Ezekiel or in Ecclesiastes. In Ecclesiastes, it talks about how if we're alone, like if somebody's alone and falls over, they won't have anybody to help them get up. if you're alone outside and sleeping in the cold, you won't have somebody's body heat to share to help keep you warm. And it talks about how all these things were better off with another person. And then it says a 2-strand cord is hard to break. So a single strand cord is pretty easy to break. 2 strands is even harder. And then it says a 3-strand cord is really hard to break. What that's referring to is if you take those 2 people and then those 2 people add God to their relationship, that cord's really hard to break. And that's what we should be doing with our family. My relationship with each member of my family should be, my relationship with Sarah should be a relationship between me, Sarah, and God. My relationship with Thomas should be between me, Thomas, and God. My relationship with Daniel should be between me, Daniel, and God. And I should encourage each one of them. So Sarah's relationship with each of the children should be between Sarah, Thomas, and God. Sarah, Daniel, and God. Daniel and Thomas's relationship with each other should be Daniel, Thomas, and God in that relationship. And I need to set that standard and set that expectation and teach through example, not yelling, not forcing them, not trying to shove it down their throat, but teaching through example. So if you want to join me next week to finish the story of Isaac's life and move on towards Jacob, or you want to join me for any of my other live streams, I'm doing a live stream. I had to postpone. It was supposed to be yesterday, but I was helping my mother-in-law move. So I'm postponing it till tomorrow. But tomorrow I'm going to go over what's basic preparedness and why we should all practice it, basic, simple, everyday preparedness stuff. So that live stream's tomorrow. If you like this kind of stuff, you want to follow along. If you want to follow along with me building this green sprout growing rack inside the house, or putting in the new raised bed gardens or greenhouse, or anything homesteading, preparedness, or if you want to join me on the journey to becoming a better disciple of Christ, a better a better leader of your family, a better father, a better husband, and a better father. If you want to follow me on my journey to become a better leader of the communities I'm part of, like, subscribe, do all those kind of things. You can also join me on my Telegram, which is social media. It's t.me/prepare to prosper, or if you already have Telegram, just search prepare to prosper with the number 2, and you'll find me. Just stop by and say hello. And that's all I have for this week. Like I said, next week we're gonna finish Isaac's life, move on to Jacob, and then keep moving through until we get to David and his mighty men. I'm not sure what series we're gonna do after that, but that's the plan. Thanks for watching, and have a great week. End stream.